dive into their champion pools as far as possible. And right now we're kind of seeing those bans that can still be banned, obviously, in the next few games. Those bans can still obviously be used if they go forward, but it's mainly these picks. But like the picks, like the bans like the Shinzao here, that was obviously another big jungle pick within the battles, and then Nocturne being banned out here as well. Just trying to get rid of those the newer kind of champions on the Rift.
Yeah, I think the big thing now is with obviously Nocturne is now enabled with the showdown because it's been 2 weeks since his release. Unfortunately, though, Garen is disabled, so his rework came out on Thursday. Honestly, I'm quite glad it's disabled because that has been wreaking havoc, I think, on the Rift over the past few days. You know, with the interaction with Conqueror being fixed, with the spin to win just doing a crazy amount of damage now, shredding enemies' armor. So no surprise that Garen gets banned because, again, some people might not have enough time to practice it between the rework that happened a couple of days ago and obviously this tournament. And with so much at stake, we want to make sure that the players have as much fairness as possible with these drafts.
Yes, I mean, still just bringing out those huge picks, right? Like, I mean, in terms of obviously creativity within the first game, they're not really going to be going that crazy with it because they want to try and lock down some of these big picks, like you've already seen here, the Galio and the Camille synergy. So we're going to see once in this best of 5, which is crazy to think about when it's Wild Rift, right? Like, this is kind of like one of those staple sort of synergy picks with it up into top side of the map with the support as well. And this is going to be the only time we see it with Vapo against International Jobcenter. So definitely want to be trying to look here to what they're going to go for up into the top side of the map. Obviously, Riven is looking like it's going to be the jungle. Rumble, obviously, up top side, potentially here, Yone, into the mid, potentially.
Yeah, Yone on random maybe might not be a surprise. I mean, you can also flex it around. There is a bit of flexibility with the Riven and the Yone, but I'd expect random to play Yone. Of course, random, in my opinion, is still one of the best players in EMEA. He's been around since day one. He's been there. He's been to international tournaments. He's been to EMEA tournaments and all around the world. So, I mean, this is one of the best players in EMEA. And you put him on a champion like Yone, and he just has that crazy outplay potential. You have that knock-up potential. You have the ultimate to follow up afterwards as well. And the wombo combo that International Jobcenter has built up with this team composition, as I mentioned already, with the Ornhorn and the Rumble, but then you have to follow up with Riven, you have to follow up with Yone as well. There's so much dive onto International Jobcenter, and that's exactly what they need. They need to somehow try and get onto the Rise, onto the Corki in the backline. The problem is that you still got a Camille and a Gnar to get through as well. I don't think there's too much front line for Vapo. I think in general they have a little bit with Gnar, even though it's really only Mega Gnar that has his tank in this form. But Camille and Galio is going to be there in the front line, trying their best to try and protect the Corki and the Rise. As long as they stay protected, Vapo have a really good chance of winning this game, number one.
Yeah, I mean, with Vapo, you're really going to be seeing the damage come from both Rise and the Corki, right? So I'm glad they kind of went with both having at least two kind of like damage outputs. I mean, Gnar can do a little bit of damage, but nowhere near the damage obviously Cork and Rise can really kind of have a potential within your matchup. But like you were saying, though, about random on the Yone being one of the best EMEA players since day one. I mean, there's still some Sundays I sit in my Rix GG joggers and just cry myself to sleep because Rix GG was probably like with a team that really brought me into esports and Wild Rift as well, to be honest. So definitely props to those two teams. And with random here, still it's great to see him always perform. Hopefully he performs well within this one because it is Vapo. They have beaten a majority of the good teams that was in the Rift Legends battles, right? So they definitely deserve to be here, but can they still be able to do it against a team like International Jobcenter, especially with the Fearless draft?
I see what's going to happen here and see how things are going to be looking for game number one. As it seems that there is something wrong with my microphone, so I'm going to try and fix it for a second.
No worries. You do that, Stu. You do that. I mean, it wouldn't be a Rift Legends cast if one of our microphones wasn't playing up, but hey, pray for me. But now we get into this one. It is Vapo against International Jobcenter. For some reason, their initials is RM. I'm not too sure why, but we'll go with International Jobcenter anyway. But already we're seeing, obviously, a bit of a juke out into the mid lane, something that we're seeing pretty much standard within the battles. We'd like to see, obviously, ADCs go top side, and then we see that the top laners and mid laners definitely duke it out into the side lanes.
Yeah, this is going to be a standard, I think, throughout the whole of this weekend. As I mentioned, this is going to be the top players and the top teams in EMEA. And this is always a strategy that honestly originated from China. This was first brought into the Chinese scene of Wild Rift. And the EMEA has kind of taken that and adapted as well to kind of figure out what's been going on there and to have a look and see what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, so far, there's a lot of teams up in the top side of the map here. Random taking a lot of damage. Obviously, shield from, I believe, the second ability here for the Yone. This is going to be enough to kind of keep him alive, trading those auto attacks and those skills between both Random and Lilo here into the top side of the map. But Queenie was trying to contest there the Rift Scuttle, able to get it also. So a lot of vision going over to Vapo in the early part of the game. So trying to stop those early rotations. Random once again. Tempting Fate looking pretty low with those health bars.
Random's always a player that's going to be living on the edge, as they say, you know, taking the risk because he's a player that knows his limits. There's a player that knows how, you know, where he can go and how he can perform and where he can position on the map at what time. And that's exactly one of them moments. He knows his limits and he knows when he wants to engage and when he wants to go back as well. But obviously it's a pretty difficult matchup. I mean, either way with the Rise or the Camille for Yone early on. So I think Yone really needs to get a few items under his belt to try and get a little bit more power. But Riven already looking for the invade onto Gnar. Gnar has a very difficult time in jungle in the early game. And Riven is a champion with so much mobility that can look to invade and perform very well.
Yeah, I mean, not just mobility, right? I mean, she's got the knockups as well. So that definitely is going to be able to put like a stop in the tracks for Queenie on the side of Vapo on the Gnar. So I think, like you said, obviously not having the easiest jungle phase in the early game definitely is the reason for Snorlax here to try and put that pressure on early on to try and stop the growth of the Gnar. Obviously, later on in the game, it does become a lot more of an issue for the side of International Jobcenter if they are able to get to that point. I mean, right now, in terms of the gold lead, obviously Vapo are taking it just ever so slightly, but International Jobcenter definitely trying to keep up with the just kind of neutralizing that gold lead.
Yeah, nothing really happening in this early stages as expected. You know, all the fights are really going to happen around that first objective. Both teams respecting each other as well. Both teams knowing how much is at stake in this tournament with 4,000 euros on the line. Random, of course, still trading in this bottom side against the Camille. Rumble in the top side trading against the Rise. But again, as I mentioned, I think that when it comes to solo laners, you know, I think you much prefer Vapo's side with the Camille lockdown. You can see again, Camille maybe going for a solo kill, Barrier helping out Random and the Galio ultimate, but it's not enough damage. Quant comes in with the Orn to try and knock up and CC the double knock up with the ultimate as well. Random is somehow still alive. Had to go back, get the honey fruit, keep himself alive, and the rest of International Jobcenter is here. Big Gnar ulti to try and turn the fight around, but it's not enough. And Random, the barrier comes in clutch in the end, survives that engage from Camille, and then the rest of the team rotate in time to help him out.
Yeah, I mean, huge outplay potential there from Random as well, right? I mean, be able to, like, survive that. We honestly thought he was going down. Use the Ignite, use the Flash. I mean, really committing there was the Camille. We thought, honestly, he has to go down. But like you were saying, thanks to the barrier, definitely kept him alive, kept that second win going for him down to the bottom side of the map. And we honestly thought it was going to be a massive turnaround there when Queen came in with that huge Gnar engage, but still, coming out on top is International Jobcenter, and it's definitely done wonders for their gold league now.
Izmatě tady pokavruje a
Škoda, jak na tom botu, tak teďka tady používáš to nechejte, abys
deciding not to go for the Rift Herald to start things off because they know that they can't contest this. They know they're going to be so far behind now. That little trade, that little exchange into the bot side and little team fight that happened meant that, you know, Jobcenter just gets a 3,000 gold lead just like that. And sometimes that's how easily and that's how quickly games can turn. As soon as that happens, as soon as you get the extra advantage or the extra trades to come on through, you get such a big advantage in terms of gold and also momentum as well. You see Random now has a 1,000 gold lead with 1 kill, 1 assist, and them trades that were happening before which weren't in his favor are now going to be definitely helping him out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel like the matchup's a little bit easier here for him against the Camille, but hold up that little thought. I mean, there's a lot going on here into the mid side of the map here. We do see, obviously, the Enchanted Ensemble come and drop down, looking to take some of those shielding plates off the side of Vapo for now. A lot more gold going up to the side of International Jobcenter is going to be great and dandy for them. The Orn ult has been committed. It does miss, but it is going to be enough for the Rumble to get the shutdown onto Lilo into the top side of the map. So Ryze is being shut down here. We haven't seen Ryze's potential come into the Rift for now.
No, yeah, I mean, it takes a long time to come online. You know, the early stages are always going to be Ryze's weakest point. You know, you're building items like Rod of Ages, you're building items like Archangel. You're never going to be strong early on. And this is really where International Jobcenter are trying to take their advantage. They're not trying to let this Corki scale, this Ryze scale, because you got Manamune, you got Archangel. Both these items, you need to spam abilities. You need to get them upgraded to the likes of the Muramana and the Ceres Embrace. Once you get these upgraded, then you can do a lot more damage and also have a bit of a protective net for the Ryze. But before that, International Jobcenter really playing aggressive and trying to play around their power spikes. They have one item already on Riven. They have the Blade Rune King on the Yone as well. And you're seeing the difference right now with trying to get, you know, really, really big plays off and trying to zone them out during that mid lane. And Ezreal's poke damage also doing a crazy amount of work.
Exactly. It's giving the pressure into the back line that they really need onto the side of International Jobcenter, just doing a lot of damage and just keeping them away, right? I mean, you can see here, Susanoo's already taken a lot of damage from the Ezreal already. Going to put a lot of pressure if they do decide to obviously come and crash in with the minion wave, but it looks like International Jobcenter is not going to allow them. Clear it up into the mid lane, and it looks like there's going to be a big rotation happening here up to the top side of the map.
Oh, right.
The Queenie here, just trying to kind of get a feel out here. We do get the Orn ult come through. The knock up onto the Ryze. Lilo goes down. It is going to be the barrage coming through for the Ezreal as well. He's able to do a lot of damage onto the side of Vapo, but it's going to be enough to keep them away from that T1 into the top side of the map. Minion wave naturally going to crash in here, should be able to take it for the side of International Jobcenter.
And you're seeing why mages don't really get played in Wild Rift. I mean, Ryze is an exception because Ryze is just very, very strong at the moment, but you're seeing one of the main difficulties with mages playing in the side lane. If you get collapsed on with a team like International Jobcenter that, as I mentioned before, they know their limits. They know where to be on the map at the right place at the right time. They rotate as 4 members all the way up to the Ryze, and he gets completely caught out. The Ornhorn, the crowd control, the knock up afterwards into the Rumble ultimate. And it's so difficult for this Ryze to play in the side lane. 0-2 at the moment. Camille is fine. Camille will be completely fine because she has a hook shot to get away. Ryze doesn't have anything to get away. He has his ultimate. But if he gets knocked up and if he gets CC'd, that ultimate gets completely cancelled. And I'm very surprised that Ryze is not even building Rod of Ages. Building an Archangel Staff into what looks like the anti-shield, which is a great item, but you need survivability with this champion. You need the health and you need the extra stats, which you're not going to be getting from Rod of Ages. So interesting pickup here for Lilo, something that, you know, most players might not agree with, but maybe trying to get a power spike a little bit quicker into the game, knowing that he's behind. Random's going to get dove in the bot sides.
Yep, there we go. The X-Tech ultimate has already been used onto the side of Vapo, so they know they're already down by 1 ultimate as well. So, I mean, this could be the point where International Jobcenter is like, you know what, let's collapse in. Obviously, Camille, the Galio. I mean, Galio can still obviously use his ultimate. He still has it off cooldown. But again, having that great synergy that we know from these two champions isn't going to come through for the side of Vapo for quite some time now. I mean, the timer is on this next neutral objective as well, around about 13 seconds as we get into this one. Vapo already have 1 of the Dragon Souls, so you're probably going to see a little bit more of a push here for Vapo rather than International Jobcenter. If International Jobcenter does go for this, it's probably just to kind of cut off that overall Dragon Soul that can come through for Vapo if they are able to survive to that point in the game.
Oh, this is going to be very difficult. It's very risky as well. You can see Ryze is up in the top side. The Ornhorn comes on through as well. Nar just has to jump away. And as you mentioned, that Dragon Soul that they could have been able to get is going to be completely denied here from International Jobcenter. Again, I think right now Vapo are just playing with a lot of respect as there's a 3-man tower dive in the bot side. I normally say that Camille is fine, but when you're 3 members, oh, the hook shot. As I mentioned, you tower dive, you try and engage onto Camille. She has the flash, she has the hook shot to get away with safety. Ryze is a champion that doesn't have that safety net as, oh my god, Shy is playing very aggressive on this Ezreal, even flashing forward, trying to deal enough damage. But for now, no kills going on the side. But again, it's just full-on aggression here for International Jobcenter trying to get some of these tier 2 towers.
Yeah, a lot of pressure going on for the side of International Jobcenter. Claim the T2 down to the bot side of the map, and it looks like they're just trying to kind of reconvene, potentially take the red buff here from the side of Vapo. It looks like they're going to just continue their retreat out of there. They've managed to come and take what they wanted, which was that T2 down to the bot side of the map. It's definitely paid dividends with that gold as well. I mean, they're currently around about 6k gold difference for International Jobcenter, which is going to be some great pieces of kit come through, right? I mean, we're already seeing the Sundered Skies as well. We're seeing the Infinity Orb come through here for Rumble in top side of the map. And then obviously Yone looking to probably build a little bit more of the, obviously the Executioner's calling there for obviously anti-heal as well, coming through for International Jobcenter. So definitely using that gold to their advantage.
Quant just ulted to Narnia. Not too sure where he was aiming that on Horn, to be honest with you. Yeah, you're seeing Random is just in the side lane at the moment. He's nearly at 2 items, building towards that Bloodthirster. So he's going to be not only dealing a lot of damage, but he's also going to have a crazy amount of survivability as well. And just to make things worse for Queenie, he's just gonna get absolutely destroyed. There's the combo again, the Ornn knock up into the Rumble ultimate. There is just nothing that you can do right now for Vapo. The crowd control, the ultimates piling on top of each other, just so difficult. Random pushing in that bot side. He knows that no one can contest him in that side lane. He pushes the bot lane, forces Camille to go there, and then rotates back to his team so he can be there to help him out. But you're kind of seeing the real difference at the moment. As I mentioned, International Jobcenter coming in as the first seed from EMEA. They've been there and won it all already. As I mentioned, these players have been around for so long. You know, Snorlax, Random, Carlos as well in the top side. Shy and Quanta maybe a little bit newer to the scene in terms of the competitiveness and also with this team in general. But you can still see that they're playing at the top level at the moment and with how well they're performing.
Oh, exactly. I mean, just look at Shy alone. Like, he's able to get around about 2k gold lead over Tung Tung Sahor onto the side of Vapo. So, like we were saying in the draft, like, that's what they're really kind of carrying on here is Vapo just being able to try and sort of have this pseudo front line with Nah, with the Galio, and then just hope that he can do enough damage. But the damage hasn't been able to come through or even activate yet for the side of Vapo, so they're definitely in trouble here.
You know, for Vapo, this is going to be very difficult because, as we mentioned already, this finals weekend is Fearless Draft. So all of these picks that you're seeing in this game, you will not be seeing again in the rest of this series. And these are some big picks that are going to be out. You know, mentioned already, the Ryze, the Ezreal that's going to be out, the Null, the Camille as well. So it's all about, you know, how you draft in this game number 2 and game number 3 as the Rumble ultimate comes on through. They're trying to dive into this mid lane tower. They do need to be a little bit careful though. Getting the tower is probably the best thing to do. As Vapo do get a kill back, the tower is taken. So International Jobcenter do come through for the tower and they do make it. But in general, it's going to be difficult for them to try and re-engage. As for now, it's going to be just International Jobcenter going back for now to base, spending their money and spending their gold wisely.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted, right? Obviously, I feel like the trade for obviously the support for that inhibitor is definitely a well worth trade here for International Jobcenter, because I mean, Vapo was only on 1 kill to that point, so giving him over a 2nd kill is not going to be like getting International Jobcenter dead to rights there. Vapo is still going to be very far behind. They aren't able to get the actual Dragon Soul at the end of it. Queenie looking very low here. Snorlax going in. Does get CC'd by the Camille, and Ryze is able to get the kill there. So Lilo coming through. Damage is coming online now for the side of Vapo, but is it going to be enough? The CC combo is coming through for the Ornn and the Rumble. Into the back line is a Random. Takes down Tung Tung Sahor once more, but still, that's a 3-1 trade. Vapo here looking like they're going to go down. Arms swinging. Quanta is going down as well, potentially here. Definitely need to try and retreat, or at least try and get some kind of hope here. Or Random going in. Potential, just like, hey guys, we're already ahead. We've got a minion wave crashing into the mid lane. Potentially, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think very difficult right now. You'll see the potential of the late game composition, you know, once the Ryze gets a few items. But as I mentioned, you just feel like they're way too far behind at the moment. You know, Corki doesn't even have 3 items. Neither does the Ryze. They at least need 3 items to try and get online and try and be as powerful as they can be. But I think International Jobcenter have just gone way too far ahead. 6,000 gold lead is not completely out of reach for Vapo. You see, as I mentioned, if there are mistakes happened for International Jobcenter, you see that Vapo do have the opportunity to try and come back. Again, 3 items now on this Rise. The problem is he is so squishy. He doesn't have that Rod of Ages, so it's going to be so difficult to try and figure out what you're going to be doing with this build and where you're going to be placing in this team fight. So Rise ultimate comes on through though.
Yeah, a lot of damage going on here already. I mean, they're able to take down the Baron Nashor for the side of International Jobcenter, which is going to be their ultimate goal within that engage. 3 members down for the side of Vapo as well. Is not going to be looking great for them here. Obviously, we have a huge minion wave crashing into the mid lane as well. And it's only Queenie and Camille here just trying to keep themselves alive. So I feel like this is going to be it. Game 1 here for International Jobcenter, using the status there from Galio just to try to bait out, sorry, not Galio, on, and it's going to be enough here for International Jobcenter to get the victory.
Yeah, very clean early game for International Jobcenter. I think you really saw that when it got into the mid lane, when it got into the rotations for International Jobcenter, you know, the rotation into the bot side, you know, Random surviving that 1v1 early on with the barrier, them getting the triple kill in the early game, gave them that little bit of gold lead that they really needed to be able to, you know, continue that, you know, advantage, continue that momentum that they had in the early stages. Multiple times going up to the Rise in the side lane, again, kind of proving that why mages don't get played right now in the current meta. When you have your dual lane playing in the mid lane, your side laners are all going to be, you know, either bruisers, and when they're mages like Rise, you got Ornn coming on through, you got the Rumble rotating, and there's just nothing the Rise can do to you know, to stop it. And the likes of Rise and Rumble just the Rise and the Corki didn't get enough items under their belt to try and carry in the late game.
Yeah, no, like you said there, Vapo just didn't clearly have that early game that they needed, right? Obviously, we were saying in the draft that they really need to have that damage come through from both Corki and the Rise. And obviously, itemization-wise, the pressure from International Jobcenter as well, was the point of shutdown, right? They weren't able to actually have that kind of like breezy, sort of aggressive playstyle that they needed to try and get the itemization, go over to Corki and Rise there. And it was just kind of, at that point in the game, it just kind of just all fell apart. And you can kind of see here with the post game as well. I mean, obviously, Corki with no kills is not what you really want to be seeing when he is one of your kind of only outputs of damage, right?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, you can see the, you know, mainly what happened this game is that, you know, the dual lanes are kind of farming in the mid lane, and the big lead is really to that Rumble on the top side, and also the jungle as well. Queenie just falling too far behind on this now. As I mentioned, he is fairly weak early on, and Snorlax just playing aggressive, going for invades in the early game, going for them dives onto Lilo in the top side. You can see in terms of kills, there wasn't that many kills. It's just really the map rotations and the advantages that, you know, you can get as a jungler when you know your matchups, when you know your limits in this game. You can know when to invade, you know when you have backup from your team as well. And you know, for a team like International Jobcenter that have been there, done that for such a long time, that it's a really strong game number 1 for them.
Very strong game number 1. I mean, early game performance probably has to go to like Random or something like that, right? I mean, the fact that he was able to survive that like bot side of the map kind of encounter where he looked like he was going to die. He was very low. He took the hit from the ignite. Obviously, the flash was also exhausted from